Moving on to the last and the final panel discussion for this evening. That's panel discussion, HR leadership in the age of digital transformation, strategies and best practices for success. Our moderator will be Mr. Ritesh Bhardwaj, CHRO, National Bulk Handling Corporation Private Limited. Mr. Ritesh Bhardwaj is a seasoned HR professional with extensive experience in FMCG, automobile retail, luxury brand, pharma, chemical, agrochemical, and agriculture sectors. He specializes in HR strategy, organization development, change management, talent management, performance management, and cross-cultural team leadership across India, Southeast Asia, and the USA. And I would also request our panelists to join us. Dr. Tanaya Mishra, Vice President and Head of Human Resources India, Endo International. Mr. Sumantra Mitra, Senior Vice President, Human Resources, Glenmark Life Sciences Ltd. Ms. Loly Vadassery, CHRO, Datamatics Business Solutions Ltd. Mr. Himanshu Joshi, HR Head, Spark Minda. Mr. Farzeen Khan, CHRO, Being Human Clothing.
Everyone, I think that this is the last session for this event. As you know that we are going to discuss about the digital transformation strategies and best practices for success. I just would like to give you some perspective around it, that in the modern business landscape, human resource leaders are increasingly recognizing the potential of digital transformation to revolutionize the operations. The digital transformation, with its ability to create, simulate, and analyze human-like content, offers HR the prospect of streamlining the processes, enhancing employee experience, and driving strategic decision-making. However, alongside the promises, HR leaders must navigate a set of complex issues and challenges when prioritizing the integration of digital transformation into practices. Today we have some of the HR leaders across different sectors to present their views on digital transformation strategies and best practices here. I would like to once again, and with round of applause for sure from your side, Dr. Tanaya Mishra here, along with me, Mr. Sumantra Mitra, Sonica Aron here, Loly Vadassery, she's here, Himanshu Joshi, and Farzeen. Thank you so much for joining us here. Starting with the first question, I think Dr. Tanaya, for you, I think the impact is very important in terms of digital transformation. So I would like to ask you, how has digital transformation impacted the role of HR leaders in organizations?
Okay, first let me tell you about the way digital transformation is, right? Firstly, it was a one-ended tool. So what did we work on? We worked on Excel, PowerPoint, so it was just one end. Then we went into Google Chat, where 2 people or 3 people could work on their own dimension. Then we went into augmented reality or artificial intelligence. So what really happens is that you can, if you are in a multinational and you have a call in the US, you don't really have to talk to anybody. All you have to do is pick up your code and go through the sheets, and you will get everything on the go. So the future is about digital, and interestingly, I didn't see any of the panelists, some of the panels that I heard of speak about this. Today, jobs are getting redundant, folks, and you need to understand this is a wake-up cry. And if you have to survive, then you have to understand what is the trend, how do you reskill, how do you, in fact, to some event, you have to unskill and reskill and upskill to be able to be relevant in the landscape. So if you look at overall the way digital transformation is for today organizations, look, one size doesn't fit all. So I have worked with tech companies, very high-end tech companies, so I'm used to a lot of artificial intelligence, a lot of bots, a lot of augmented realities where you have robots who are taking, we had a robot called Deepa. And when we were doing the testing, we'd ask her saying that, look, Deepa, I'm not going to come to work tomorrow. She said, why? What's wrong with you? So then he says, you put in some wrong policy. She said, you better come back to office, okay? So you see, so I'm saying the world is changing. Today you have in Kerala, you have a teacher who's a robot. So I'm saying that today the world is changing and one has to understand. And I can go on, but I'll stop here.
Thanks, Dr. Tanaya. Farzeen, what about your perspective around this particular question?
Very well said, Tanya. But you know what? Every industry is different today. So while some of us would have had the opportunity to work with organizations which are really high in terms of, you know, the digital landscape, what they've traversed the journey, some organizations still are not at that end. I'm saying digital transformation is something which people need to look at across the domains in the entire organizational verticals, and then move that baby step so that you're there. Every individual working professional here comes across from a different industry. I'm saying digital transformation is the key to the success for anybody. And the mantra which even I follow regularly, that could be from digital angle, that could also be from the subject matter expertise which we belong to, is that you need to unlearn to learn new things. That's how you are there, part of the, you know, game, and then you can be a part of the game changer. That's from my side.
Thanks, Farzeen. Next question is related to workplace, and I think Loly, you will be able to answer it very well, because handling the large workforce. So how do you see the role of HR leadership evolving as a digital transformation continues to reshape the workplace?
Yeah, thank you for that, Ritesh. I think as my fellow panelists have already shared, the fact that there is a transformation, digital transformation happening, technology is changing at breakneck speed, right? I think every day we open whether the physical newspaper or online newspapers, we read about the change which is really, really overwhelming, right, for many folks. And I think the role of HR then becomes all the more pertinent in terms of seeing that how can we help not just the organization. Eventually any kind of digital transformation calls for mindset change. Right? So how do we get people to embrace technology, not be worried about, oh, this is coming and are we going to lose jobs? And there are umpteen levels of fears, right? So people fear losing jobs. People fear that, I'll have to change my way of working. I'm used to a certain way of working. And HR does play a pivotal role in terms of making sure that the organization is ready in terms of people readiness. I think when people are having that mindset that yes, we can change, and this is the whole concept of within. What is in it for me? If HR is able to sort of help people understand that aspect as to how this is going to change and make their lives better, I think it goes a long way in terms of making the organization agile, making people more flexible to learning new things. Right? And I think it's also about the roadmap. The people need to see that this is the roadmap for me. Maybe there is something that I'm doing today which tomorrow maybe AI or a bot could take over that work. But the organization is providing an opportunity for me to sort of upskill myself, reskill myself, and therefore I don't get redundant as an individual. Right? So as long as people are able to see that, and I think a lot of it has got to be top down. People look at it in terms of how well the leadership teams are embracing technology. One of the things that we did at Datamatics to really create a culture of curiosity and innovation is introduce a concept of an employee entrepreneurship program, pretty much on the lines of Shark Tank, which we are all familiar with. And we were amazed to see the kind of ideas which came in. Right, from something as simple as suggestions as to how they can improve the customer experience or employee experience, to something as major as, here's an opportunity for RPA, or here's an opportunity for, to really change the process altogether. So I think, I'd just like to say that HR leadership plays a very key role in terms of, and if I were to quote Mahatma Gandhi, I think HR has to take the stance of being the change they wish to see in the world.
Thanks, Loly. The next question is related to capability building, and I think Sonica, you are handling the consulting part, and Sumantra, you have extensive experience in handling both the blue as well as white collar, what we talk about. So what are the key skills and competencies that HR leaders need to thrive in the digital age? if you can.
Okay, so, first of all, ever since this topic was announced, I somehow kept on getting this scene in my head from Munna Bhai MBBS, where Irani asks the students, why did you want to become a doctor? And one of the girls says, because I love people, right? And he trashes her, right? Now the answer was somewhere in the middle, wasn't it? That you have to be dispassionate when you are operating or you are treating, but then you have to keep the patient at the center. When I look at AI or technology, I think the very same thing, I don't think technology is the end destination. I don't think it is God's gift to mankind. Technology aa gaye to sadak pe gir jao, mar jao, lot jao. I think it is an enabler. It is an enabler for people to be successful and better, faster, efficient at their jobs. Now, we can't be ostriches like Dr. Tanaya said, or Loly or Farzeen said. Different organizations would be at different stages of adoption, yes. We can also not be like ostriches and keep our head in the sand and say कि पीछे से आके चला जाएगा technology. ऐसे नहीं होगा, because impact will be there. So, what is it that we need to do, right? And that is where I think we need to understand what are the different ways in which it can affect my organization, my people positively. And for that, I need to educate myself. So, Loly used the words, be the change that you want to see. बट शुरू कहाँ से करें? हमको पता भी है, तो मैं उसके लिए एक फर्रा लाई हूँ. पढ़ के सुनाऊँ? Okay. So there are 6 types of AI, so to say. One is robotic, chatbots, right? अभी तो उस पे picture भी बन गई है. You can fall in love with a chatbot apparently. Then there is cloud-based. We all know cloud-based solutions. Then there is data bench and analytics. Then there are microservices. So for example, if we want to do micro 3-minute learning reinforcement, so you can add that at different phases in your learning. Then there is embedded AI. How many of us know about the AI companion on Zoom platform, Microsoft, etc.? That is an embedded AI. And then there is the full suit where you take the whole thing. अब किसी डॉक्टर ने बोला है कि full suit में घुस जाओ first बारी में, right? So even if I am a manufacturing organization, I can start small and I can still start and experimenting and saying that how do I get started, because it is not going anywhere. And how can I, for example, if I have to answer, how many employees do you have? 1,500. If she has to ask, or her HR team has to answer 1,500 employees' questions on policies, it is better to automate it, isn't it? Rather than have a team of people who are constantly answering questions on policies. But do you need to get into performance management in the first go? Do you need to get into promotions? Do you need to get into the full suite in the first go? Maybe not. Sorry, long answer.
Yeah. So I think in the audience we have got, and we were debating a bit before we started here. So we have a kind of ranges of organizations sitting over here. I mean, you are representing those organizations. So as she mentioned that there is a wide spectrum. But one thing is very sure that, it's like tsunami we are expecting, it has already reached. So we can no longer sit quiet and think about it that, it's not for me, it's for them. It's not for me, it's for MNC companies and all of that. So let's take that for granted. So which area that, HR skill or competency need to be focused on? I think there are 3 areas. One is environment, let's say enterprise, then environment, and then enablement. So if we talk about our skill and competencies, our skill and competency need to be honed in these 3 areas. When I say enterprise, what does it mean? Can we have the ability to influence the strategy of the organization so as to impact the enterprise? Can we go ahead, share table with the business leads and talk about having some digital strategy in place, digital goal in place? That can be a baby step to begin with. Now, for some of us, even that might be a tall order, right? Because, some of us might be on the other end of the spectrum in this digital journey. Nothing to be worried, right? Because digital is not a destination, it's a journey, right? And it will keep on evolving. The way Tanaya was saying, I mean, one day I was traveling from Shirdi to Ahmednagar, and there is a favorite restaurant that I like called Sandeep. And there are a chain of that, it's a non-veg restaurant. I keep on going there. And I was wondering, it's a very, very, Ahmednagar, once you leave Ahmednagar, it's on the left-hand side, it's a little 5 kilometers away from Ahmednagar. I was placed my order in that village. The guy had, GPRS enabled handheld, and he sent my order already. I was wondering, "Arey bhai, jaake order to leke aao." He said, "Sir, it's gone to the kitchen." So even in the small sphere of life, this is creating space, and that's going to create a space. So if you're wondering, sitting over here, that my organization in the other part of the spectrum, how do I create an impact? What skill that I need to build? Let's start somewhere. It might be a small intervention, but let's start somewhere. Point number 1. So that's on the enterprise part. Now let's talking about the environment part. So if we talk about environment, again, start working on the various stages of HR life cycle that we talk about. And if we can, put in digital in that space, right, starting from your acquisition, development, developing, digital enable leader, you're creating digital pipelines, skilling them, and all of that. So that's the second set of areas where your skill and competency can work in. Now let's come into the third part, which is the enablement part. Now, enablement part, this is not only about a change management initiative, because in change management initiative, what do we do? You initiate change, you create change champion, and you drive change, and then you wait for the result to come in. Here you have an option or an ability to create a lot of, analytics, right? And you can prove even that investment in digital is actually going to pay off for the organization, right? And overall, as I will close this part of my kind of suggestion that let's start somewhere, create small bit. Let's say organization like us, wherein we are in between. There are MNC pharma organization. My part of the organization is still growing up, getting separated from Glenmark. What we have done, we have started in a small way. Let's say who are in pharma space know that we have pages of SOPs, right? There are at least 100 SOPs that one person need to go before they get into to the shop floor, right? I reached out to the quality head and we said that, can we pick up 5 SOPs and create a digital learning on the SOPs? They said, no, it's not possible. US FDA would not allow. I said, okay, let's not change the SOP, right? But what we can do, can we reinforce the learning? Your purpose of the SOP is to enable learning. My tool will help you to reinforce the SOP absorption. Is that okay with you? Now, once that agreement is done, he knows that I am not threatened, right? Now, he is allowing to create more, we call it GAMO. It's more GAMO on SOP is working on, right? So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Sumantra, and thanks, Sonica. The next question is related to employee experience, and I would like Himanshu to speak about it. How can HR leaders leverage technology to enhance employee engagement and productivity?
Thanks. So even before I try to answer that question, I think first and foremost is the way I see digital transformation is that change has always been there. If you look at our HR industry, how we have evolved. We started with probably as a welfare officer, moved into IR, then we got into personal management. Finally, we got into human resource management. Today, we are part of the human capital piece, right? So change is always there. In mid-90s, we were talking about transformation, change, systems coming in, laptop, computer technologies coming in. Today, we are talking about digital transformation. Probably the next 1 decade or so will something else to come in. Will it take away the jobs? I don't think so. It will always create more and more jobs. Yes, the dynamic of the job requirement will change, right? So probably 5 years down the line, 3 years down the line, you might not require a basic quota. These will be automated. But you will need functional consultant. You will need certain other aspects which comes into space. Cybersecurity. We have been discussing about the cybersecurity fraud which are happening there, right? So digital transformation will always be part of it. So should we be worried about the change? No, we should not. But yes, I totally agree that we have to adapt to the new requirements. We need to understand that yes, we have to evolve the way we have done it in the past. Now, talking about in terms of how this transformation will help us in the employee engagement, we all have seen during the COVID timeframe how these tools, the basic communication tools, whether it's MS tools, whether it is Zoom, all these platforms have really helped us in terms of building an ecosystem where people can communicate even though they were not in the office. We all were sitting miles away, but we were still working, and there was not much of impact, especially in the IT space. Yes, in manufacturing space, we had some impact. But otherwise, if you look at it, whether it's tools, whether we talk about performance management system, right, through these tools coming into place, the transformation in terms of how we assess individuals, how we are going to take the talent development to the next space, how we are going to keep a track of it, everything is evolving in that, right? So these digital transformation, when we look at it, whether it's from the tool perspective, today we have a lot of, most of the companies have internet portals, right, where they have certain pages where you can go, you can be part of those communities or groups. It can be related to work. It can be related to just fun activities, right? You want to find like-minded people who would like to do 10K walk. I will not. I cannot run for 1,000 kilometers. But you have all these forums in place. And this has been possible because of the technology changes which has coming in, right? Similarly, let's say I join as a basic coder. I want to get into artificial intelligence or machine learning, new tools. There are various forums which are there in the organizations. You can go into that, be part of it. Loly talked about in her current organization, there are mechanisms where people can pitch in their ideas and they get funded from the company. A lot of organizations are having that. And these are all part of the digital transformation which is happening, right? So the tools which we are having today will only take us from one step to another step. Today, when we interact with the business leader, I'm sure some of you would have experienced this. Business leaders come with certain thoughts, certain impressions that, you have not closed my position for last 6 months, last 9 months, last 1 year. But with the tools coming in, you have data analytics on your hand. You can just show it to them that, sorry, this is my average time frame in which I'm closing your position. Yes, there can be certain positions which has taken a long time. But all these technologies will help us in terms of not only enhancing the engagement part, but also the productivity. And now the decision which we are taking as an HR, it's based on the data-driven approach, right? We are not going to the MD of the company and saying, hey, I feel this is what people are talking about. When we go back, we have certain tools, lot of multiple tools, which capture the pulse of the employees. There's a data back to it, and then we show it to the management that this is what people are thinking, right? So now this is time for us to take A, B, C, D interventions. So all these have really helped us in order to enhance our employee experience as well as increase the productivity, right? Today I'm here, if I have to approve the timesheet, I have an app, I just go there, I approve the timesheet of my team members, right? So all these things really help us in order to move it. So it will continue to happen.
Thanks, Himanshu. I think the next part of the question is from the HR perspective. I think digital transformation itself is a change management, one of the aspects, and which is becoming very critical nowadays. So what role does change management play in HR leadership during digital transformation, and how can HR leaders effectively manage change? Dr. Tanaya.
Look, this is a wake-up call, and time we all woke up very, very quickly, okay? Because please understand that change, which was earlier taking some time, is here to stay. We all saw in COVID times, immaterial of wherever industry you were in, you had to wake up quickly and adopt to technology. Now, she read out a lot of things which are there. I have experienced each one of them, and let me share with you each one. In talent acquisition, today, what does LinkedIn do? It uses search engine to be able to pull jobs, okay? You are sifting through thousands of CVs, sometimes lakhs of CVs to pull in. What does it do? It's artificial intelligence in the background, looking for particular words and then interviewing based on those words, okay? You are talking about, from talent acquisition, let's go to performance management. Today, there are tools which are not looking at, KRAs, KPIs, OKRs, they are passé. They are looking at tools which look at what has been your project, how have you fared in the project, what is your stakeholders saying, what is the feedback that you have got in particular, assessments or whatever it is that you've done, and finally how it is. So it is looking at data points to capture everything to be able to give you. You're looking at how to employee experience. Employee experience is through Infindo, where you are trying to act with, because you see, today you can't speak to so many people. Your coffee with whatever and whatever walking, buddy, blah, blah, blue, if you have so many people, you have to use a tool. And then probably, be able to. Augmented reality. We use teleporting for recognition, where people from India met people from Switzerland online to be awarded, right? So that's teleporting for you. You spoke, and that's augmented reality. If you're talking about bots, today we have bots which will answer your queries because look, if you have a large organization of 4 lakh employees, it will be bots which, HR BPs obviously will do the second end. I have handled employee relations, which is predictive indices using big data, where you're trying to source the data type, trying to understand what kind of issues will come at a particular center, whether there is tendency to suicide, and then, taking a decision based on what is your data point and analytics. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this is here to stay. We all need to understand that things are changing. Yes, every organization is at a different stage, and there is no good or bad about it. But let's understand, we definitely have to invest time in upskilling ourselves.
Loly, what about your perspective on the same?
Yeah, so I think all of us here, I'm assuming most of us here, are from the HR fraternity. One of the biggest challenges for all of us, right, is how do we get a spring in our people's step when they come to work, whether on a Monday morning or any other day of the week, particularly on a Monday morning, right? Because everybody talks about Monday blues. So that's one of the biggest challenges. So when we are talking about digital transformation, right, HR plays a very pivotal role to really make sure that the whole organization is ready for that. So in a way, the role of HR is essentially to be a catalyst, to really make sure that this transition happens. How is the messaging going across to all the people? Are people really willing to embrace technology, or are people just feeling that, there is a lot of insecurity or uncertainty? So a lot of it rests with the messaging. And I think HR, typically HR people would wonder, in a digital transformation, ideally it should be the IT team which is driving it. But the reality stands that the biggest aspect for success of digital transformation is all about people. So, and that is the reason why HR plays a pivotal role to really make sure that they are aligning the business strategy, okay, very closely. I mean, the people strategy is completely aligned to the business strategy, number one. And we all understand that, all business problems are essentially people problems. So it means that if we do not create a platform for really enabling the organization as a whole to embrace technology, to be able to, adapt to whatever is the changing needs in the market, we are going to actually get redundant. the business gets impacted. So therefore, I think the use case for business to be really enabled comes from the fact that this is the need of the hour. I think Dr. Tanaya has impressed upon it amply on this. So so this is the need of the hour to really make sure that how are we creating the space for people to? So are there any fears which needs to be addressed? Are there any kind of resistance which comes in, right? And this happens only with open conversation with people, right? Whether those are coaching conversations to understand where is the resistance coming from, right? And when you actually get into those discussions, you realize that people are most worried about, what happens to their life, right? How does it change their life? And if you're able to address that part, and then you're able to see a sea change in how people adapt to the transformation. So I think essentially it is about making sure that the mindset is addressed first, and then the rest of it is essentially cakewalk.
Even there, let me tell you, there's a recent cornerstone study, if those of you have read it, okay? Even earlier we used to say, young minds would depend on their mentors and, your team leads. Now that is not how it is. They are asking computers saying, what is it that I should do? And the computer is taking a decision on their behalf. This is a recent cornerstone study, all of you can refer to it.
Thanks, Dr. Tanaya. Thanks, Loly, for your perspective. A very interesting question coming to you, Farzeen, which is, how can HR leaders use data and analytics to make more informed decisions and drive business outcomes?
I think the world today, we keep talking about big data, बहुत सारा data, but I think data was always there. It was always there. While, and I would again like to go back and touch upon on the point that earlier we were using spreadsheets. Now we are then we moved on to Google spreadsheets and then into the AI. I still feel तभी भी data था जो हम utilize पूरी तरीके से नहीं कर पा रहे थे. This time also we are not able to utilize it. Trust me, in my last organization, while we had a business intelligence unit, which would take data across all customer portfolio and give us, this is what the customer wants, this is how you need to curate your product, this is how you need to do your training, and then that's where you get your ROI from the training. Now we are moving one notch ahead, and we've actually trying to build up a people analytics unit, where there's so much amount of data right from, a pre-talent acquisition phase till the time a person is joining any other organization. I'm saying the entire journey, like I just heard somebody saying, somebody is asking for data ke mere, like in one of the universities, I think somebody said, in my co-panelist mentioned that where students are, what do you say, people who
life
actually...
cycle of a student is being tracked, or he wants to track.
And the institute wants to track what 10 years people have been done and what they want to do. I'm saying we are now tracking in terms of what went wrong as an organization to not hold back the employee and who's actually gone ahead and joined not a competition but a different industry. In fact, I would like to touch upon a story. I would like to say it's a story because in one of the stints where in my earlier organization, the only product which we were selling was money. And we were losing people to, I was from an NBFC and losing people to banks. The people would always say, bank mein hi jaake naukri karna hai. Why? Because bank has lot of options. Then we said, chalo, let's change our policies and get the best policies in place in terms of working somebody in NBFC gets the same benefit, of course, in terms of the loan percentages and in terms of the credit ratings and XYZ. When we did an analysis in terms of, an actual basic attrition analysis, I'm saying we used to do that, but when we went into it, people left us not because of money, because of policy, because of people, because they were not getting to learn new things which they thought they would be able to learn in a different organization so that they can take themselves up one notch and be more competitive and get the advantage of not being a part of the herd but being a part of a specially abled employee in terms of the skills which they are deriving, which actually helped us curate a program with the top notch colleges in India, and we had a complete banker program done for them, wherein any employee, of course, it was a high pot program because the cost was really high for a person to get into that thing and complete. But then that really helped. And then it actually helped us turn the tables in terms of I mean, when I say the attrition of the top team, or even for that matter, the top rating people, when we say reduced to almost 75%. So it's that time when we realized, let's look at the data and see what's happening. And then there was a lot of work behind it, not only in terms of, just taking an exit interview. It was a lot of PI. So we actually worked on the predictive analysis also in terms of, vis-a-vis seeing the sentiment analysis of the people in terms of the pulse checking, that what is they exactly wanting. People, I mean, I would slightly like to take a little backseat and say, there are certain set of people who still enjoy the Rangoli competitions and the, celebrations in office. But there are certain set of people who really want to do something different and want to contribute and say that this is what I'm actually looking at. And as basic as, introducing calligraphy courses during COVID, which really played wonders for us. So I'm saying that's the change. So change could be digital, change could be data analytics change could be innovation, but transformation is the key. Gone are the days where we say one size fits all, which I'm sure it's a common jargon which all of us have used sometime or the other during our last 2 years tenure being in the industry. But what I feel is that if it is driven rightly, it's not necessary it needs to be driven from the top. If you feel that you need to be a change agent, and if you see that, at least that group of people can traverse the journey with you, I think you're game. And that's what helped us. That's from my side.
Thanks, Farzeen. So the next question is to Sumantra. How can HR leaders balance the need for automation and digital tools with maintaining a human touch in their interaction with employees?
Let me share you experience of mine. So you all know Decathlon, right? It's a sports outlet. So I was in Calcutta and in Park Circus. Some of you, if you are familiar with Calcutta, Park Street, Park Circus, you must have heard of. So I was roaming around Park Circus, and then a new Decathlon opened, and I went in, and I saw there's this kind of sprawling large one. So I was moving around, took my shopping bag, I kept on putting things inside, and then a smart sales executive come and says, "Sir, you're taking too many things. Why don't you download our app?" I said, "Yeah. So what is the benefit that I'm going to get?" He said, there will be a long queue after you do your shopping. So what can happen that you can just scan, you can pay through UPI, and then you are done. So I said, wow, great experience. So I downloaded it. My entire shopping happened. Then I kept on kind of scanning it, tuck, and then one last item that I wanted to take, some cap or sports towel or something. There is some problem in the QR code, right? Or it was showing on discount, but it was not giving me the discount when I was kind of looking at it. So I have done the entire shopping. I went ahead and I said that, look, the price is different. So I called an executive. I said, the price is different. He said, which one, sir? I am not responsible for this category. I am responsible for that category. Okay, I said, then can you call your manager? He came and he said that, I understand. Sir, this is not on discount. Okay, you want to take it? I said, of course I want to take it. So, sir, for this you'll have to go to the counter and pay the money, right? I said, you're crazy. Out of 10 items, I have done my billing, and only one item saying you'll have to go to the counter. I said, sir, then, sorry, I don't have an option. I was telling my managers that, let's wait for some time before we, download this app and, do an app payment and etc. So I said, okay, fair enough. I left it. I don't take it, right? My payment is done. I was happy. I was about to go out. Security asked me, sir, bill dijiye. I said, bill? बिल तो नहीं है, ये है. ये सर नहीं सर, मुझे बोला गया बिल चेक करने का या लास्ट अमाउंट चेक करने का. आपकी पेमेंट कहाँ है बताइए, राइट? Now I'll flip the story. I went to Mira Road, right? And I did the same thing, right? Tuck, 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 it happened. You know what? What is the gap? Daniel Kahneman, the famous Israeli psychologist, and Barbara Frederick, they did a study on this digital and after effect. And they came out with a terminology called peak end rule. Peak end rule. So they say that peak end rule talks about, it is not about the totality of the experience. It is snapshot of the experience which impact the customer, right? Now, if we go by the peak end rule, what went wrong there? Somebody have gone ballistic probably to go for, app payment, right? Without looking at that the need of training end-to-end staff till from the security to the, top man in the store, there has to be a kind of skill set training, right? But before that, what Loly was talking about, mindset training is required. Okay? So, Tanaya and all of us sitting over here and we are saying that, hey, there is the way and, you'll have to jump into the kind of bandwagon, the way it is going on. You go digital from tomorrow. You go back and talk to your CEO that go digital from tomorrow. Your CEO said, hey, which world you are in, right? So before we do even anything, right, first and foremost, we'll have to think about, are we making the entire population on our side? And are we really telling them that, look, if your one small decision, how it is going to impact us? So when we talk about digital, when we talk about, taking the people along with to create an impression, the human part of it in any digital intervention cannot be ignored, right? So first and foremost, create a charter, put people first in that charter. Before we are doing skill set, let's talk about mindset of digital, whether we are in that mindset. And in any sphere of our intervention, let's figure it out that whether larger of the population who is going to make my customer happy are there in the same page that we are trying to strive or not. So that is one thing that I would like to share.
Let me also share a little story with you. Okay, so you're saying digital, right? So I was looking for a house in Bangalore. Okay, and I was in a hurry because broker tha and I had to come back to office, and I wasn't carrying any money. So there was this Hinjada lady, gentleman, whatever he was. He came asking me for money. I lifted up my hands and I said, "Mere paas kuch bhi nahi hai, I don't have." So he looked at me and said, "Mobile hai na?" I said, "What do you mean?" "GPay kar lo na." So what I'm saying is even beggars today are digitally savvy. So it's a different mindset altogether.
Thanks, Dr. Tanaya, and thanks, Sumantra, on your perspective. The last question here is related to culture, which is another important piece. And I would like to hear from Himanshu and Sonica on that. How can HR leaders foster a culture of innovation and continuous learning in their organizations? Himanshu?
I think when we talk about the innovation, right, it has to do with the culture part, right? Today, I think we all know the story of Nokia. They were number one in their space. Only thing which they did wrong was in terms of not innovating and getting into the new things which was evolving in their business line, right? So it is important for any organization to survive, to have that type of culture, and HR play a big role in terms of building that, right? Whether it is through creating platforms where people can come together, cross-functional learning, training, development, or it is by creating an environment or an ecosystem where people are not afraid of experimenting with stuff and also accepting the fact that while you are experimenting, there will be times when you will fail, right? So acceptance of that, and that's where the HR comes in, right? In ensuring that we have that ecosystem, we have that support system in place, we have those reward and recognition in place. A lot of companies today, if you look at their R&R program, they have R&R program specific talking about the innovation. It can be probably percentage of patents which get commercialized and all. So you need to have those ecosystem, and HR play a very, very important role in terms of building that ecosystem around.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so let me put it this way. I think what essentially this panel is saying is that technology is here. It is something which can be very beneficial. Having said that, let me bring in an outside-in view. So I am not working with any one organization. I am working with multiple organizations as an external consultant. Now, different organizations will have a different appetite. So within this panel, we see two people who are extremely comfortable with technology. And then there are people who are saying that, listen, you've got to be ready, you need to keep humans first. So here I want you to think about a few things. Number one, technology will keep on evolving. Who will run the technology? Who designed the technology? Who is going to operate the technology? Who is going to take the decisions on technology? Who is going to make solutions based on technology? So you have to think of the people who will be there, who are going to adopt. You heard Loly and Himanshu talk about let there be no fear. Are we looking at the psychological safety aspect in the organization? If we keep on touting that people will lose jobs because of AI, if there are TV panels on that, if there are news articles on that, then obviously people are going to resist. But if we were to switch it, if we were to flip it and say that, listen, there is a bot called Stella that helps you deal with your mental problems. Why don't we try that out? Or there is another bot which can help you with your day-to-day tasks. Did you know that if you have a bot which can help you get rid of your domestic help, you don't have to give a key, you just have to key in the program and the dimensions of the rooms in the house, and it will do your cleaning the whole day. So all I'm saying is that how do I create that sense of security that this is not going to make the human redundant, but actually going to make you a higher order being? 52% of our workforce today is zillennials and millennials. Somebody spoke, I think it was one of the panels, where they said that India is in a unique situation where average age is 29, right? Where the rest of the workforce is becoming older, we are becoming younger. Now, this workforce does not want to do repetitive, boring job day after day, year after year, even in the first 2 years of their life, working life, isn't it? मुझे पता है घंटी बज गई, लेकिन मैं फिर भी बोलती रहूँगी. Okay, so now coming back to that, if AI can help these young people do higher order jobs, right, and not repetitive data entry job, then why won't they be happy? But are we showing them that, or are we showing them a cane कि AI आ जाएगा, नौकरी चली जाएगी, right? Now the nature of jobs is going to change. We also had a panel discussion which said that there is going to be talent shortage. Why talent shortage? Because it is about the quality of talent. It is not the absolute number.
I have a different opinion, but then time's up, so I'm not going to say.
Sorry, Tanaya, I'm still speaking, right? So it is about the quality of talent. Today, the kind of talent, you know, the kind of courses people in tier 2, tier 3 towns are going for, what they get educated on, they still want to go and upskill themselves so that they get the right kind of jobs. What they are getting educated in their college and post-graduation is not equipping them to get the kind of jobs that will make them employable, or the kind of education that will make them employable. So from that perspective, I think what we need to look at, what HR needs to look at, is psychological safety. Make the change palatable. How is the change going to be good for them, for their long-term career, for their satisfaction, for their growth, for their learning, for their pockets, and so on and so forth. I think today as HR, we ourselves are not very clear because of the way sometimes it is being portrayed as a very complex thing, whereas it is not that complex. It can be very simple.
So just to give an example here, in 2017...
I think we need to stop. I think they've already rung the bell, right?
I will not take more than 10 seconds. So in 2017, we hired one IIT grad fresher. And after spending 1 week, he came to us and he said, hey, your onboarding is not very great. Give me 3 days time. Give me this policy document. I will integrate it. And he created a bot in 3 days, which helped us that at any point of time when a new joiner comes in or even an existing employee, he goes there, type a set of question on the policy and it gets populated. In 2017, a guy, fresher, come with that type of mindset, comes in and create a magic.
Thank you so much. Thanks. I think it was very interesting discussion, and I'm sure you must have picked some of the cues from there. So we have heard the speakers today, and we can understand that digital transformation is a journey. Successful digital transformation can be achieved by keeping people at the forefront of the change. You need to create the leadership sponsorship for the change. Create a digital transformation roadmap. Promote a culture of adaptability with agile methods. Invest in the right technology. Communicate and create brand ambassador across different functions so that you will be successful in implementation. I think the real life example which most of the panelists were sharing, and I picked some of them while having a pre-discussion, is like Airbnb. You all must have seen or at least used it. Online application like Zomato and Swiggy, I know most of you use it on a Friday evening, right? Why being a HR, we are not talking about something which Himanshu touched base is like attendance management system. It's a very old system, and we have gone through in ages where we have seen people doing the punch-in during the attendance management system in the factory. Infido, which Dr. Tanaya already touched base, which is another very good platform. I will give you a shock of life where being HR, we only talk about people, we don't look around us. In our real life, there are the digital transformation which has helped the governance in a much better way. And the example is 240 million people in one place, like Kumbh Mela, was handled very well with the help of digital transformation, keeping in mind safety, security, sanitation, and inclusiveness. I think digital transformation and human goes hand in hand. And I believe that if we are keen, if we are interested to transform through digital transformation, that is the future, right? Jobs will definitely, some jobs will going to get redundant, and you must have observed it looking at the layoffs which is happening across. I think Dr. Tanaya was touching base on that. And at the same time, there are new jobs which are created for those who have upskilled themselves in this new digital transformation era. Right? So thank you so much. Thanks for being a good listener. And thank you so much to this panelist. I'm really grateful to conduct this particular discussion, of course. And thank you so much for the team for bearing us. At least I don't know
so
how much.
And one last thing, just letting you know that I'm ex-technology, have handled about 4 lakhs. Jobs are going away. There is no increment in TCS, Cognizant, Accenture. And I'm an ex-Accenture managing director, handling 10 countries. So jobs are going away. It's a digital transformation is also changing. ChatGPT is also changing. So, being here and trying to say that everything is fine is not true. We have to change. There's no other go. And it's just not mindset. It's also about learning new skills.
Thank you to our moderators and our panelists. We would go ahead with the felicitation, and I would request Ms. Sonica Aron, CEO, Marching Sheep, to felicitate our moderator, Mr. Ritesh Bhardwaj.